Radiant team ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 5. It's going to be Division 1-2 4FC versus Fiskestanga in another best of 3. I'm Mikelorus, going to be bringing you this game along with Danelie once again. This should be also a pretty interesting one, although, gotta be honest, it's going to be hard to top that last set.
Yeah, I think it is. We had a pretty tense series last game. Unfortunately, last game was basically the third game, pretty much a one-sided stomp, unfortunately. So we didn't really finish up with a bang, but we did start up with two very interesting games. So we'll see if 4FC and Stanga can actually bring us some very interesting Dota. We might see something a little bit different. They could have some niche heroes that we don't typically see, in particular the constant Night Stalker bans or the Task bans, just to pretty much deny the enemy team their signature heroes. It's very, very different. I would have liked to see them, at least the Night Stalker anyway. We got to see the Tusk once. But what does Stanga and 4 friends at Chillery actually bring? Do they play anything out of the ordinary, or do they just play pretty standard stuff?
I haven't seen either of these teams in quite a long time, actually. And 4FC, they've always been kind of around. Like, they're just the team that just refuses to go away, and they, reform and reform constantly. Fiskestanga casted them a couple of times. I don't believe there's been anything particularly interesting for them, although, again, it has been quite a while, so I'm actually working a little bit in the dark. Fiskestanga did come out of the Division 2 side, as did the 4FC team, so both these two teams clearly capable, but I don't think there's going to be anything super surprising. At least nothing immediately comes to mind like Screen and his Tusk.
Yeah, so we'll see. We could be in for a bit of a surprise, but so far pretty standard bans, aside from the Earthshaker ban actually from 4FC. We don't normally see that, so maybe that is one of the niche heroes on the side of Stanga.
It's
aside
powerful
from that,
enough, I would think, to warrant a first ban. I think it's also a hero that you're usually okay letting through. Usually I would say like Vengeful Spirit Lion more threatening, but yeah, Earthshaker has his place, and sometimes you just don't want to play against him. As 4FC, they first pick a Lion.
Yeah, I think the only reason to really justify an Earthshaker pick, though, is the fact that you might have a draft that's going to be reliant on your positioning, and when you have to deal with the fissure, in particular melee heroes, they have a lot of trouble just trying to go around the fissure block. So maybe that is a possibility. It's just pretty much a bit of a theory craft for me, but, well, Axe first picked by Stanga, so nothing out of the ordinary there. Axe very strong here. We're going to see a lot of slam dunks, and they're going to pick a Dazzle with him as well. So, well, this is going to be a pretty unkillable Axe, so long as the Dazzle can keep the Shallow Grave on him as well.
Yeah, pretty standard Axe opening, I would say. Also, if you want to go for Axe any other support hero, you're going to be pretty well off. But Dazzle, just to keep this Axe alive, is usually the core purpose of these two heroes being picked up in their first two slots. Does open the door for a little bit of weird play. Maybe you're going to be creep cutting a little bit more. You're going to be more likely to dive the tower if you feel so inclined. But for Fiskestanga, they're already off to a little bit more of an aggressive start with this Axe, whereas for 4FC, they're going to grab both of their support heroes rather early. Not going to keep their options open for an Ancient Apparition or anything like that. So maybe Fiskestanga looking to grab a Slark later on if they really feel like going for that. Chen, I'm kind of on the fence with Chen in general. I just feel like it's generally not what you want to be doing. You don't want to be pushing towers this early in this stage of Dota.
I don't know. I feel like Chen, he's got a special place, but he's got a very niche place. Normally, you like to see him in those negative armor strats where you pick up a Shadow Fiend, you pick up a Dazzle, maybe even a Vengeful Spirit as well. And it really helps the creeps to really push down towers, even just to participate in the team fights. Maybe there is a strategy with the Chen, although in all honesty I'm not too sure what it is aside from pushing, because that used to be pretty much the thing with Chen. You'd always pick him up because you want to push with the creeps. So maybe it's just a bit of cheeky play, use the send back in case someone's going to die or something. I don't know. I really don't know what's up with the Chen. It's very early, but
we see the bans coming out from Fiskestanga, Bristleback and the Viper. When you're talking about Chen, you're talking about a lot of utility mostly. Like, you buy a lot of time for your allies through the send back, through the Hand of God, and then in that sense you want to be grabbing those tanky heroes who could make more usage of those types of tools. So 4FC, they can grab like a Juggernaut if they really want to get more healing, and then you have the nice little Chen healing ward combo. You can just bulldoze towers like none other. But yeah, it does usually come down to playstyle and how the team with the Chen actually want to play. They can play it a little bit slower and then just use Chen as an insurance policy, and then that's just pretty much comes down to them. But for Fiskestanga, they have so far a draft that's a lot easier to execute. It's hard to mess up with these heroes.
Man, look at all the armor on the side of Fiskestanga. Not just armor reduction, but also the additional armor that you can get on top of the Dazzle, and also the Berserker's Call for the axe. So this axe, he's going to be rocking a lot of armor, especially when he gets hit with that weave. And then there's going to be the negative armor coming up from the weave, plus the Vengeful Spirit Wave of Terror. And when you top that up with the counter helix, you're going to be taking extra damage from the counter helix if you have negative armor. So these Chen creeps, they're going to be pretty sad. And, well, they're going to pair up the Shadow Fiend with the Chen. Pretty common combination together. I feel like 4FC are running a very squishy draft, because Fiskestanga, they just picked up a Lina. This looks like it might be a core Lina as well to top it off. So they have not just physical damage, but now they have some magical bursts with the Laguna Blade, plus the extra nukage from the Light Strike Array and the Dragon Slave.
And Chen's not really great at saving his allies from that much burst. It's most likely just going to be a Lina going towards the mid lane for Stanga, and in that matchup, Lina versus Shadow Fiend, it is fairly even there. Both teams would expect to have a little bit of interference with their supports, but not really anything that's going to hugely swing how the lane progresses. I like how Fiskestanga they just have so much nuking power, they have so much burst. Maybe they're going to run a little bit low on damage in the late game. That's where Shadow Fiend really picks up the slack, where none of the Fiskestanga heroes really would. But the early game power, the early game pressure that Stanga are going to be able to put onto 4FC is going to be pretty intense. Even though the Clockwork Shadow Fiend, they're heroes that are capable of fighting early on, it's hard to compare them to the likes of Axe and Alina.
Yeah, I think for the moment, Fiskestanga, their plan for this game is they want to try and finish it up as early as possible. If they can, try and go for 30 minutes, even 40 minutes if they have to latest. Once it hits the 40-minute mark, though, you have to be worried, because that's when Shadow Fiend should have items by that point, unless Fiskestanga can actually shut the Shadow Fiend down like we saw in the Phantom Assassin game in our previous series. That was a very sad Phantom Assassin. If they can do that same to Shadow Fiend, then maybe they can keep him locked down. But they don't really have a high mobility lineup aside from potentially the Lina when she picks up the Yules and that Blink Dagger and the Axe. Dazzle and Venge, they're pretty static supports, not very mobile. They do provide a lot of utility, so that's probably all that they're really going to do. I think Fiskestanga is actually going to pick up a hard carry to really justify the draft if the game goes into the later stages. It doesn't have to be a super hard late game carry, but maybe just something that comes online a little bit quicker than the Shadow Fiend to help them with the team fight, and maybe even just to help them with the push. Because if you look at Fiskestanga's draft, they don't have the best pushing draft. You're looking at Alina as an Axe as your two core heroes, and what do these two heroes do best? They're so good at ganking, but their push potential is nil. They don't really have anything to really push those towers yet.
Yeah, so it's going to be Stanga, at this point at least. They'll be very comfortable taking these fights, but taking objectives after it, unless the objective is Roshan, in which case minus armor certainly going to help out a lot there. They're going to really struggle to take those towers, which, depending on how the fights go, is going to vary in how much it impacts the game. For Stanga, though, they're definitely going to be looking for that late game, or more late game hero, let's say. They could go from anywhere from the Medusa, which is, pretty much super late game, towards something like a Phantom Assassin, and really it would depend on how aggressive they want to be playing in this game in general. They can just go for Phantom Assassin, and I think I do like them going for a little bit more of a mid-game pressure build as opposed to just sitting back with their carry hero, but really, no matter what, the odds of them being hugely punished for it, unless this Clockwork just goes off, is going to be very low. They could probably get away with any carry hero. I don't really see any huge glaring flaw in their draft right now.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah. 4FC though, they've got their two supports. They've got a Shadow Fiend, they got a Clockwork. So technically they need either a safe lane hero or a mid lane hero. I feel like they're going to have to pick something active. They really need something active to really bring their draft to life. Yes, they have a Clockwork. Yes, they have a Lion. Shadow Fiend, though, if he gets shut down early, he's not really going to be able to provide too much. Chen, pretty much the same position as well. Chen, probably going to be going for the really passive early game farm to get the fast mechanism so that they have a little bit of team fight presence, but they need to have a little bit of extra damage, because if Shadow Fiend's not providing it, you're pretty much sitting back on a lion with a finger of death, and that's about it.
Radiant
Clockwork,
pick.
he does okay damage himself, but he does not scale at all. He has zero scaling potential whatsoever. He's got pure utility written all over this Clockwork. Early game's probably the best time that you'll ever see a Clockwork really doing any sort of damage. Fiskestanga, they pick up a Medusa, and we're going to finish up with the Pugna pick for 4FC.
Now that Pugna pick, a little bit interesting. We don't get to see the Pugna all that often, and though the Nether Ward is pretty good against what Stanga have, especially good versus the Lina, we spent a good portion of this draft talking about how much burst damage Stanga have, and though their Medusa pick overall probably did decrease their burst damage by just a touch, this Pugna is still going to be in for a world of hurt. It is consistent with the plan that 4FC want to execute. They have the Chen, they have the Pugna. That in and of itself can get them a lot of presence in the map. Take down all the tier 1s, really pressure Stanga, and then by doing that, pressure Medusa. But Pugna has fallen off, and then some. The decrease in tower bounty, the rubber
10
band
seconds
mechanics
remaining.
just makes this hero not as appealing, and I don't know about this one.
5
It's definitely 4FC
seconds
trying
remaining.
something that's a little bit more niche, but Stanga just have a super solid lineup right now, and they have everything that they could possibly want in order to deal with this push. They have AoE enough to be just fine.
Prepare for battle.
Yeah, so we'll see how the drafts play out for the moment. Everyone's just pretty much going into their lanes towards the runes that they want to snag. Who would you like to introduce today? Would you like to do 4FC or Stanga?
I think I'm going to do 4FC. It's been a while, and well, we'll have Krilly, who's going to be playing the Clockwork up towards top. Pablo is going to be on the Shadow Fiend Steph style, going to be handling the support Chen with Eris Loco on the Lion, and that leaves Strangby on the Pugna, who's going to be farming the bottom lane.
Alright, so heading up top, playing on the Medusa, we have LL. Heading down bottom there, we have the 4 Musketeers. We have Joey playing on our Lina. On our Dazzle, we have Miggy. On our Axe, we have Sunderland. And lastly, on our Ventral Spirit, we're going to have, oh goodness, how do I pronounce this?
30 seconds to
Ingumudur.
battle.
I have no idea if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to
I don't know,
pronounce
I'm
it.
very sorry.
It's definitely
If I'm
not a
saying it
language
wrong.
that I speak, so if there's a correct way of pronouncing it, then I'm sure someone in the chat is going to let us know. But hey, if you wanted people to pronounce your name, you got to pick an easy name to pronounce, like Joey.
Oh, maybe it's
Ingmunder? I feel like it's probably just you pronounce it how it spells,
battle
kind of, but
begins.
who knows? I'm always wrong whenever I assume that, so I'm just not even gonna. I'm just gonna work with the assumption that I'm wrong and then just be happy with that. But anyway, we got lanes shaping up. Right now, Miggy on the Dazzle is gonna be hanging around with Axe. I think that was pretty much a given, no matter what the lanes were going to be. The Axe and Dazzle were probably going to go together, and they're going to be going into a 2 versus 3 lane. Now, this is a lane that's not going to be the happiest for Axe because he is going up against 3 range, or I guess 2.5 range heroes in that Chen as well. So Sunderland's ability to apply pressure to this Pugna gonna be a little bit slim until he gets boots.
Yeah, but look at all the sentry wards in the Radiant Jungle. They went for the complete D ward. So Chen, did they even put any wards in the map though?
I don't think they did. They just, I mean, they placed this one and then they walked up through the rune to escape. So they just really want this Chen to get a little bit of farm, and I guess mission success.
Probably. Oh my goodness. Oh well, unfortunately for FC, they're gonna use their two sentry wards, and they're not even gonna get anything. They still have the safe camp pulled. Sorry, the safe camp blocked. So Stanga, mission accomplished. That ward is doing what it needs to do. It's only a sentry ward as well, so it's only gonna be there for 2 minutes. So once that expires, 4FC gonna probably just face palm their faces, maybe a couple of seconds, and then they're pretty much gonna get back to it. But looks like bottom lane, lots of aggression by Stanga, but they're not really going to get that much accomplished. They're going up against a Lion and a Pugna. Very potent duo if Miggy is not very careful. Sunderland, though, is much tankier. He's gone for the 1 point into counter helix, though, so no Berserker's Call for him yet. But eventually, once the Axe does have that point into the Berserker's Call, I believe he will try and go aggressive and try to jump on the Pugna or that Lion.
I don't even know if you get Berserker's Call in this lane. Obviously, you get a point of Berserker's Call because that's a really good thing to have, but what are the odds of Axe actually closing into either of these heroes? Pugna, as squishy as he is pretty damn fast. Like, he's 320 base movement speed, no boots, of course, being picked up right now. He is going to keep Sunderland out of he's going to keep Sunderland at arm's length, and with Eris Loco there with a little bit of disable as well, I don't really see this Axe getting close enough to do much of anything unless he has some sort of slow. And
They
Battle
do have
Hunger,
it.
Poison Touch, kind of mediocre
Yeah.
slows.
Yeah, I think they're just going to wait for the opportunity to really arise. But for the moment, 4FC going to be happy that the creep equilibrium is near their tower. But bit of a push there just because they threw out the Nether Blast. So a little bit more dangerous for 4FC, but they're going to sit back. They don't want to play too aggressive. I think at this point, actually, the Sunderland, he almost threw the Berserker's Call, but it would not have connected there to areas. So luckily for Lion, he's just going to sit back, relax, hit creeps, hit axes. That's pretty much all he has to do. Being a little bit slow there, though. He's got to be careful. He can get caught out, but in all honesty, but since there's no creeps there, it's a very low chance for Axe to get those spins off.
Yeah, and then at that point, though it might seem very scary, the Axe usually just doesn't do anything in that situation. But while that bottom lane is progressing as it is, we have mid lane where Pablo is going to be going up against Joey. And typically this matchup is fairly even. Lina has a slight edge in the very early stages when the Shadow Fiend doesn't have any souls, but he's gotten over that hump. He has his bottle and he should be just fine. We have Steph Style looking to leave the jungle and actually make an impact in this game. Has one Centaur bird, not really going to be super useful, especially if Eris Loco gets picked off first. However, he gets the Hex off on Sunderland. Still, he's spinning, even though he's sheeped up. That's going to be first blood drawn by Miggy. Steph died a little bit too late. He might get a kill in response, but no, Sunderland gets the call out, buying Miggy a little bit more time to escape, and they close into line. They get the kill. Will they be able to escape with Miggy? He's going to take a little bit of damage, graves himself just for safety reasons, and everyone on Stanga is going to be just fine. That Lion has to keep his distance versus the Axe. It's so very easy to get those kills once you get close enough.
Yeah, and Ares is even rocking boots as well. Is there boots on the Axe? Oh, I guess there is. So they're pretty much even, but unfortunately Ares being, I don't know, his reactions have been a little bit slow, so I think he's going to have to start respecting this Axe now just because he realized, okay, I get chopped to bits if I just get counter helix 2 to 3 times. So I've got to keep my distance. If they try and jump onto Pugna, then at least I'm going to be there to reinforce for him. Whereas, unfortunately for him, does Decrepify actually save you from the counter helix? I believe it does.
It's physical, so yeah. Well, first of all, if you Decrepify the Axe, he's not going to get hit, so he's not going to spin. And if you Decrepify your buddies, then they're not going to get damaged by it. So Decrepify is, I guess, pretty good against Axe for the whole 2 seconds that it lasts.
Yeah, but in all honesty, I don't think Pugna's going to put any more points into it. It's only very minimal returns, really. It's just an extra half a second for each point you put into it. Maybe if they feel like they really need it, then they can put the points into it. It lowers the cooldown as well, I suppose, so that's a nice little perk. But you'd rather max out the Nether Blast, you'd rather max out the Nether Ward, just so that during those team fights, it's pretty much going to negate the Lina, the Dazzle, and potentially even the Vengeful Spirit for throwing out the spells because they will be hurting. In particular, the Lina, she is such a spell-dependent hero. Pugna is pretty much going to be her worst enemy. Any intelligence hero that relies on magical damage is pretty much screwed around a Pugna.
Luckily for Stanga, they don't have a Skywrath Mage. That's just the worst. But taking a quick look at the top lane, you would expect this lane to just be all Stanga all the time, always. But Krilli's actually getting quite a bit. He's 20-4 without even having to go for a flare build. He's gone for a pretty standardly aggressive build on the Clockwork, let's say, with the level 3 in that Battery Assault. This is even going up against 2 ranged heroes. Granted, these 2 ranged heroes don't really have the most kill potential on Krilli, so he doesn't have that to fear, but they're not even zoning him out. This is a level 6 Clockwork, 6 minutes in the game. He is pretty much fully on right now. He could even get kills on these 2 heroes if they are going to get hit by a hook shot. So this bottom lane is, I mean, we haven't really been talking about it, but it's been really, really bad for Stanga.
Yeah, it really has. But we'll have to see how it pans out for the moment.
It's going to get worse because Steph Style is coming in. He has 2 Centaurs this time, smoked up as well, and Medusa is none the wiser. Even if she goes into those side trees, Krilli has enough for a hook shot. If he gets vision, it's golden. Otherwise, they're going to settle for Ingmunder. Centaur is going to wall off the Venge, and they're going to miss with the hook shot, but they land one stomp, they'll land the second one, and just with right clicks from Steph Style, it's going to be pretty much a solo kill by the Chen.
Yeah, so nice play there for the Chen. Even though they missed out on the hook shot, they picked it up with the 2 Centaurs. So great pickup there by Steph Style, and he's just going to pretty much invade the enemy jungle at this point. He is going to steal this dark troll summoner, I think. Yes, he is. So now 3 creeps, and now they have 1 good creep to set up, even if the Centaurs can't chase their target. So this Medusa, if she's not careful, I actually think she's going to be the next kill here. Steph Style is hanging around He wants to go for a wraparound. He's waiting for the opportunity. Oh, I think he's just going to steal the stack first, and then he's going to go around.
30 seconds until clockwork hook shot. Then they're going to feel really comfortable about, or a little bit more comfortable, let's say, about going for that tower dive. But until that happens, no super easy way for the clockwork to get in there. You don't really want to be messing with the tower aggro that much, even though the centaurs are more than happy to take that aggro. Can't really depend on that to happen all the time. Stepstyle, though, is still sticking around the enemy jungle. If he runs into anyone, and I mean anyone, they're probably just going to die. The centaurs and the troll warlord, that's a lot of stun duration. But over towards bottom lane, Eris Loco slowed down by the touch and by the hunger. He's going to get the spike out onto Sunderland. There is a Decrepify there as well, but Eris Loco just is not fast enough right now because Axe, he does have that Battle Hunger move speed, but Pablo around the corner, double raise onto Sunderland. Suddenly this Axe has got to get the hell out of there, is going to get his Tranquils canceled, now going to try to get into a creep wave so he can maybe make a turnaround, but in the corner, he has no chance of survival, and with one more Decrep blast, that's going to be the death of the Axe. A little bit too aggressive, perhaps, from Stanga.
Yeah, they wanted to just grab the lion kill, but they couldn't even get him. There's just so much slow, so many delays. They just couldn't chase after him. So unfortunately, the Dazzle, he doesn't have a true stun yet. It's 2 points into the poison touch. He will have that 1 second stun at level 3. But that means that he's committing to putting points into Poison Touch, not points into Shallow Grave. And normally for Shallow Grave, people like to just pick up that 1 point, but I think just grabbing that 2 points into the Shallow Grave is great. It gives you the extra range, little bit of a cooldown reduction, and also you get a tiny cost reduction. So I would like to see another point into the Shallow Grave, but for the moment I think they want to prioritize putting points into the touch so that there's more killing potential for the Axe, because the only disable that they really can rely on is that Vengeful Spirit or that Poison Touch when it hits that level 3, because Lina, she's got a stun where she has to land it herself. If she misses, then unfortunately that's a bit of a misplay by the Lina, but I feel like Stanga bit low on disables, I guess.
Well, it's mostly because they just had this one disable that's been camping up the top lane. Munder is 2 and 2, has no kills or anything like that. In fact, he only has a death. So this Vengeful Spirit, though, on paper, would be able to help out this offensive tri-lane from Stanga quite a bit, just isn't in the offensive tri-lane, so therefore he cannot help. If the Vengeful Spirit was down bottom, then there would be so much kill potential here from Stanga, and I can't imagine this lane on top lane going that much worse for Stanga should they not have their Vengeful Spirit there. So maybe a little bit of a mislaning, but over towards mid, Pablo and Joey gonna get into a man fight. Krilli's gonna break all that up. Raise number 2 plus a right click is gonna kill off the Lina. TP coming in is the Venge. Pablo's gonna fake the Requiem to force that Venge to cancel, but in the meantime, bottom lane, Eris Loco gonna go for Miggy. Life Drain from very far away with the Hex, not quite enough damage, and Miggy should be fine. He will grave himself, dropping to 1 HP, of course, but they will continue this push. Strangby has level 3 in that blast. Ring of Basilius turned on plus Arc Boots. That's going to be a very aggressive push down towards bottom. At the same exact time, the mid lane is being pushed by 4FC, and Stanga are looking to lose 2 tier 1 towers in very quick succession.
Yeah, so 4FC playing extremely well. They had a quirky draft, but it's working out. Stranga, you thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive than this, but they've played passive so far. They've been trying to protect the Medusa, they're trying to get farm on their Lina. They tried to be aggressive down bottom with the Dazzle and Axe, and unfortunately it didn't really pay off. So we'll see if they can actually grab something with this top tower. I have a feeling 4FC, they're just going to give it up. They realize there's too many heroes here, we do not have to defend it. We can take our own tower in the bottom lane if we want to. So I think it's just going to be an even trade at this point. Both teams not going to overextend for kills, they're just going to take objectives.
Yeah, they have the additional combo of Decrepify into Finger of Death now, and that hurts anyone. That's probably going to be lethal if you just use that, or, you know, probably mostly lethal, like 70% of their HP down the drain or something like that. Either way, it's going to be pretty good. They have a nice little Chen army down here, and this bottom lane already not too healthy. Krilli up towards top is going to put a lot of halt onto this push from Stanga. First of all, it's not that strong to begin with, but over towards mid lane, actually, Joey is going to be saved actually by an LSA that he got out before that Eul Scepter landed. Up towards top lane, tower dropping to deny range, very close now. LL really wants it, but he also kind of doesn't want it. He will back off, and he will be forced to let that tower be denied. At the same time, bottom lane is destroyed. 4FC winning all of the tower games right now. In fact, they're going for a little bit more down towards bottom. They're not exactly rich on mana, but they have enough blast to drop Miggy down to half HP. Here comes Joey. Lina gonna look to get in there with level 3 Fiery Souls. Even though Strangby's in a very bad position right now, there's no way that Stanga can actually punish this. They need a Blinking Axe, but he's still 700 gold away from that.
Yeah, this is This is the reality, especially when your Axe isn't able to get the really fast blink dagger. And they actually pop the Hand of God just for the creeps. They're going to turn onto Joey with this as well. They start with the net, they follow up with the Centaur Hoof Stomp, and they're going to try and pick him off at this point, but it looks like he will be able to get out. In the meantime, though, up in the top lane, we have a bit of an engagement here. Finger of Death thrown above the Lion onto what seemed to be a Medusa, I think? Yeah, it was a Finger of Death onto Medusa, but they don't get the Medusa kill, they lose a Shadow Fiend, and they only grab a Vengeful Spirit. So Stanga are going to be pretty happy with that. They grab the mid for a support, and Axe, meanwhile, died to Clockwork.
Clockwork from across the map gets the kill anyway. That was an awkward engagement. They did get one kill, and they probably should have tried to back off, and they did. But Requiem, so when you have an opportunity, you just got to go for it sometimes. But in the meantime, while that was happening, even though it wasn't really the best trade for 4FC, the space that they bought on the bottom lane probably well worth the trade, because this tower now is just a couple of right clicks and one blast away from being destroyed. And though it's not really the most intense pushing that we've seen in Dota, it's still a lot more pushing power than we ordinarily see in this type of metagame. That's what Pogna gives you, and Chen together. They will just take down all your towers if you leave them alone. And Stanga, they would love to defend right now, but they can't afford to defend their bottom lane and deal with the Shadow Fiend and the Clockwork roaming around everywhere else, because while LL would like to think that he's safe up here, he's actually in quite a bit of trouble.
Yeah, his Stone Gaze is actually coming off cooldown in about 15 seconds, so if 4FC do not try and go for an engagement onto the Medusa soon, then they might be in a bit of a pickle trying to kill her when she has that Stone Gaze up. So it will be online very soon. Clockwork, though, going to try and go for a different target. Wants to go into the mid lane, and he wants that Lina. He does not spot the Axe, luckily. So Sunderland, he's going to be able to pretty much be left to his own devices. There is a smoke, though. It's going to be popped, and all of a sudden, those two heroes are going to realize someone's on the hill, and they're going to back up. They're probably suspecting it to be a Clockwork. There was even a ping coming out from the Dazzle. So clearly, he pretty much foiled the smoke, but also I kind of feel like it saved the two heroes' lives there, because if they went up their hill and they didn't realize that Clockwork was up there, he would have just gone straight for the cogs.
Yeah, but that's also hilarious, because Krilly, I don't think, knew that he did that. Like, he did not have vision of that smoke. It's nighttime, so vision isn't that great, and Stanga not even risking going up that high ground. They of course knew that it was going to be Clockwork at the very least, since he was clearly off the map. I think they had vision on Eris Loco, but man, the risk just is not worth the reward when you have such soft heroes in that mid lane. That Stanga, they're forced back, and Krilly, whether intentionally or not, is able to foil that plan. Pablo, also roaming around with an Invis, has Miggy in his sights, and I think there's a Requiem of Souls with Miggy's name on it. Invis gonna help channel, but oh, Krilly, what was that hook shot? Come on, man. That was not good, but Dazzle gets to live because of it. Doesn't matter though, it's fine, because they're probably going to take this tower anyway. One blast going to be foiled by fortification, have Joey off to the sidelines. He does not yet have his Yule Scepter, whereas Pablo does, just showing the farm advantage of the Shadow Fiend right now. One blast will kill off the tower. Clearly looking to get in there with no hook shots, going to be really difficult to get the Yule Scepter up on Miggy. Grave is going to keep him alive for right now. Stone Gaze is going to turn Pablo to stone and force everyone else to fall back, but Mech is there from Steph Style. Also has Hand of God if he really needs it, but it looks like they don't. They've got what they came for. They've taken the tower, and now they're going to slide to mid lane and try to do the exact same thing. Not the cleanest push by any means, but they get a tower. They can't really be too upset about that.
They had almost an infinite army of little skeletons going in towards the tower, but they just got decimated so quickly. I was watching the skeletons, actually. Oh, it's very, very adorable, but luckily that they actually had the Stone Gaze and the Medusa, otherwise 4FC would have tried to jump onto the Dazzle. Yes, it's just a support Dazzle, but just getting rid of that potential grave on a core hero, it's nice, so that when you're trying to kill somebody, you can really put the focus into it, because a lot of the times when you're going up against a Dazzle, you want to try and get that Dazzle to preemptively throw the grave onto somebody so that you can change focus onto another target while the grave is on cooldown. This is a level 1 grave, so it's a 60-second cooldown once it's thrown out. It's literally just got the same cooldown as an ultimate, essentially, at level 1, which is a bit expensive if you ask me, but yeah, that's what you really want to do for a Dazzle. You want to try and waste that grave onto somebody, throw it onto somebody that's not almost dead, or just try and waste it even on the Dazzle himself so that you can focus down that Lina, or maybe you can just get rid of the Medusa after a Stone Gaze is down, because these heroes are still pretty squishy. Even though they've got some items, they're not incredibly tanky. They are still very killable at this point in the game.
Yeah, they're going to be a little bit less killable now that they have picked up the Aegis. It's not going to be for free, though, because the rest of 4FC up on the top lane demolish a tier 1, looking for a tier 2 now. But yeah, basically with Shallow Grave, if you can force a Dazzle to use it on himself, that's a big victory, because that's one grave that's not going to be used towards the likes of Medusa, Lina, or Axe. But Aegis on Stanga, gonna help them in this upcoming fight. Eul Scepter on Lina, gonna allow Lina to set up by herself, but just look at the positioning of 4FC. They have staked out the Stanga jungle. They have a firm hold on it, plus they have double Dark Troll Summoner. They have a hook shot in onto Miggy. He's gonna get swapped out by Ingmunder. Maybe the Grave's gonna be in there in time. No, it's not. In fact, Dazzle's still holding onto it. They have the Eul Scepter onto LL, weave him up as well. But Krilio's already done his job. He's already gotten 1 kill for the team. Can they get anything else? Netherward in more or less a perfect position right now for the 4FC side. It's going to be difficult for them to continue fighting under this tower because they don't have a good way of initiating. But Stanga, can they really defend 4v5? Even though they do still have the Aegis, it doesn't seem like Aegis on Medusa is really going to be doing that much simply because she doesn't have that much threat. They will take out the Netherward. That's, I guess, step 1, and they will force everyone else on 4FC back. Hookshot, though, is cooling down. Stanga off to the bottom side with Sunderland is looking for someone to jump, but really there's no good target here except for Pablo in the creep wave. No, he's only going to get caught by himself. That means not many spins. He's going to Yules himself up. However, Joey's there with an LSA waiting for Pablo to return. Hand to God mech, not going to be enough, and Pablo will get a double actually in the meantime because Strangby has been doing work with his Netherward. They kill off 2 immediately. Now Erisloco looking for a finger death onto LL. He'll settle for the Hex. Should just pull the trigger, but he's being greedy. LL going to get a little bit more distance. Rocket Flare will snipe that kill, still holding on to that finger. Now another blast into Ingmunder, gonna drop him down to dangerously low. LL's gonna respawn, but again, what can he really do right now? They don't have any, though they do have Centaur Stomps and Nets, but they're not pulling the trigger there. LL gets to live because Steph Style is feeling awfully charitable today. But everyone else on Stanga gonna get blown the hell up. Requiem and Death, or just the Death Requiem actually, completely wrecked Stanga, and now this tower is also going to fall.
Yeah, unfortunately Stanga, they didn't quite get the initiation that they wanted to, and their Lina just got completely decimated by the Netherward because she used the Laguna Blade as well to secure the kill onto the Shadow Fiend. So there was 2 heroes down at the beginning of the fight. There's no Stone Gaze. Beautiful call though by the Axe. They get 2. So Krilly, he's going to be sent home. Steph Style though, he is still hanging around. The creeps are going to be sent into the trees. He wants to try and salvage the creeps if possible. So that's going to be a definite kill on the Chen. They don't know the creeps are there though, so it's only a Chen kill. But I guess they don't lose the tower. But if they get the creeps, that'll be nice. But they don't know. Actually, no, never mind. LL, he knows. He wants these creeps. These creeps, they might not live for that much longer. Will he find them? I think he does. Oh, this is the end of the creeps.
Poor
Bye,
creeps. Centaur's even in the back, so he can't really do that much damage. Oh, they deny one! Sick plays from Steph Style. The creeps, in a fit of rage, decide to turn on each other. But 10-4 right now. 4FC, they lose the Chen. That's actually really good for them. Like, the fact that they only lost 1 hero in all of that. I guess they lost a Shadow Fiend previously, but still, no matter how you tally the kills, it's still going to be 4FC with a pretty vast advantage in this stage in the game. Crucially, they're keeping their Pugna alive. Strangby now holding on to 2 levels of that book. They have a BKB and Eul Scepter both completed on the Shadow Fiend. Mech has been completed on Chen for quite a long time. And even though they haven't taken down this tier 2 tower, they brought it down half HP without really breaking much of a sweat. They can go right in again and just finish up the rest of it, especially since now they have a Blink Dagger on Erisloco that is so far being hidden by 2 Stanga. So Stanga will assume that it's only the Clockwork they have to worry about, yet they're in for a Rude Awakening once they're in for a Blink Hex. However, top lane Strangby is going to get caught in a call with the giant creep wave as well. He's not going to be able to save himself with that Decrep in time. Shadowfiend in the meantime kills with Medusa. That's a much better trade though for 4FC, especially if Krilly gets something going up by himself. He already uses hookshot, already whiffed. But he's chasing down for Miggy, and Miggy, I don't think, has a way of getting out of this, especially if Battery Assault lands a single time. Yes, Dazzle is in for a world of hurt. Has support incoming in the form of Joey and Ingmunder. Maybe the Grave will buy himself a little bit of enough time. In the meantime, Erisloco bites the dust, gets hit with a big nuke. Krilly actually gets swapped out. Miggy rather gets swapped out. Blade Mail is up, kills off Joey with his own auto attacks. Krilly walking away with the killing spree. Now Pablo winding up for a couple of raises. Actually, no Requiem available. He'll get that kill pretty easily. Miggy still sticking around. Somehow it's the Dazzle to escape. Okay, that's fine, I suppose. Lucky Dazzle, but they're not done yet because Pablo is going to get Blink called in a decent-sized creep wave as well. He's going to lose his head. No, he's actually not going to lose his head. He will die anyway, though, as Sunderland does reinitiate and take that kill. For Stanga, it's going to be a 3 for 4 after all is said and done, I believe. Not a terrible series of trades for them.
Yeah, Stanga are going to be pretty happy with that. They lose their Lina and they lose their Vengeful Spirit, but I guess they lost their Medusa as well, but that was a different engagement completely. She died in the bottom lane, I believe, I think it was just the Shadow Fiend himself, but I'm not too sure how she died.
Probably
if it was a Requiem of Souls.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Requiem though, because he used the Requiem just now. Maybe it just came off cooldown. Maybe the fight just happened for so long that it came off cooldown.
I'm pretty sure is the Requiem, but it doesn't really matter because bottom line, Medusa died. And, well, so far she's been doing a decent job at avoiding death, like dodging hook shots and whatnot. But Shadow Fiend able to do that by himself, now has a Blink Dagger, so he is a pretty sizable threat right now. He'll blink in, be magic immune, as long as he doesn't get initiated upon by a Lina or Axe or anything like that, he should be fine. Hell, even the Lina, with the Yule Scepter, you'll just land and then pop BKB immediately. Krilly gonna get a hook shot to connect finally, is going to catch Ingmunder. Swap not available because it's the Vengeful Spirit, and of course Lion, as Lion, has to steal that kill with Finger of Death, even though there was no reason to. That being said, with that Vengeful Spirit down, with Steph Style packing a pretty sizable creep army, pretty diverse as well, they're gonna go straight for this tier 2 mid. It's not long for life.
Yeah, this tower's going to drop down so quickly, and Stanga, I'm pretty sure they don't want to go into this, even if it's just 4v5 with the support down, just because you want everyone to really pitch in. They don't really want to go up against a nether ward either. Is there a nether ward actually planted? No. So Pugna actually holding onto the nether ward, realizing that, hey, there's no one actually here, and they're not going to contest us. We're going to chuck the nether ward when we can push up high ground, and well, there's a necro book creeps that are going to start whacking onto the tower. There's a Berserker's Call coming up from the Axe, so trying to get Pablo in towards their base, but it didn't really bring him in far. There was a nice Earth Spike going to connect onto 3, although the tower is dropping very low, 100 HP, and that's going to be the end of that T3 mid tower. LL though, he has the Stone Gaze available, but Berserker's Call is off cooldown, Blink Dagger on cooldown, but the majority of 4FC are just going to leave. They got an objective. They got the objective that they wanted, and they're just going to back up. No point in pushing up high ground until they get that one pick off to go high ground.
It was a tier 2 and a tier 3 for 4FC. They lost a tier 1 on the bottom lane, which I'm pretty sure they just don't care about. We don't really see this type of pushing style all that often in this current patch, but if you're not prepared for it, then it can catch you and kill off your base in a hurry. With maxed out Blast, now that Pugna has maxed out Necrobook as well, his mana pool is looking pretty deep, and he'll be able to spam out those blasts. And the great thing about blasts is that they hit both the range and melee racks, so you could, just go for a push in general without any specific racks in mind and walk away with both of them. But 14-8 and 4FC, I'm pretty sure just need a Chen army to reset. They have 3 creeps there, not too bad for Steph Style. They're definitely aware of this Aegis timing, but it seems like once again they're heading up towards the top lane. If this is a very short Aegis timer, Fiskestanga with their minus armor, they can very quickly clean this Roshan up and then be prepared for a fight. But for 4FC, the amount of pressure that they're applying to Stanga is insane, and Stanga, you would think that they would be able to resist it because they have a Blink Dagger on Axe. Even LL's closing into his Eye of Skadi, but they don't have much time to farm right now because there's smoke up on everyone minus Pablo, who apparently didn't get the memo. If they catch LL here, that would be disastrous. Vision, though, not quite working out for 4FC. They're going to just make a slow detour into the enemy jungle. They're going to go straight for Raxes, straight for high ground. If Stanga take a good fight here, then Roshan is open to them. However, if they get initiated upon as they just did, Sunderland is not long for this world. Spike and Requiem, though Grave is there to keep him alive, he's not going to be able to return that much damage. Krilly is stuck in the cogs for right now, but he will take the kill for the team. Now get force staffed out. Stone Gaze is going to turn the majority of the creep wave to stone, which is all well and good, but the Necro units are still firing. They're going straight for the range. Raxes need one more blast to take it out. Maybe one more blast and change, but they will fall back for FC after taking that very easy kill, forcing out the buyback on the Axe while committing more or less nothing of their own. They'll need a couple more Chen creeps, but that's about it. They could take the tier 2 top lane in the meantime.
Yeah, so pretty much 4FC, all they're blowing is their ultimates. They're not losing anything, they're not really gaining anything aside from just slowly chipping into the Raxes, and luckily for them, range Raxes do not regen, so they can literally just pick off the range Rax, come back for the melee Rax when they have a bigger opening. They'll go for the top tower though, so they get rid of a little bit of more map control. There's no towers left actually on the side of Stanga, so if they want to try and TP in, for example, a Roche attempt, which Roche is up, he did respawn about 30 seconds after the respawn cap. So that was a very fast Roshan. I think 4FC might just go down and take this though. Stanga, they do get a little bit of a D-ward with their axe in the secret shop, but very uphill battle for Stanga. I think they just need one team fight though. They do pick up the Eye of Skadi or Medusa, so she is going to be tanky, she is going to have that slow to work with. So at least the Medusa is going to be a little bit more relevant aside from just being a Stone Gaze hero. But they need a little bit more than that on their Medusa. Heck, they need something on their Lina as well. She's trying to build towards her Aghanims, which is very, very close. 800 gold for that, and then she's going to have access to the Aghanims Laguna Blade. But the issue with your Lina is that you're still going up against a Nether Ward, and if you don't have a BKB, you're going to be copying a lot of the Nether Ward damage, and a lot of the times you want your Lina to survive with the Ags, because when you run an Ags on your Lina, the cooldown on your Laguna Blade is so short that there is a chance that you can pop off 2 Laguna Blades. And if you can do that, that might just be what you need to turn the fight of battle.
Well, right now, Stanga, they have, in theory, a chance to make good fight happen, but ordinarily it would be Axe to initiate here. The Chen doing his duty, spreading out the creeps as best as he can, while at the same time tanking with the Centaurs. Stanga, they're going to take a tier 2 out of this one, which is going to be fine for them. It doesn't seem like they're in any position to contest this rush on, but the scary thing is that though they do take the tier 2, now they're going to be in danger of losing Raxes right now, because Pablo with the double life is pretty much primed and ready to go. Doesn't have anything aside from that ultimate orb. Thought he would have one more item there, but Stanga, yeah, they are once again forced to be on the defensive. But if they do hold out this push for a couple more times, first of all, you never underestimate the late game Medusa. You never want to overestimate the late game power of Pugna. Typically does fall off very hard. Him along with Chen do have their cap as far as how effective they can be, and we're slowly but surely approaching that limit on effectiveness. So if Stanga can hold 1 or 2 of these pushes without losing Raxes, they will be in a position to just dominate the late game with the Medusa. However, if they get initiated upon like this, Pablo going to get swapped out of his Rec Room, maybe into a better position. However, he's going to get called out of that one as well. He's still in the BKB, still has the Aegis, so not taking that much damage. LL doing quite a bit of damage to Pablo now. However, Hand of God is there. Pablo winding up the Rec Room one more time, will land it onto pretty much everyone, and the Raxes have dropped. Earth Spike onto 2 in the back end as Eris Loco just trying to buy space for Pablo. He's going to get forced staffed out. Laguna Blade is there as well. He doesn't have enough time for Yule Scepter. He will be going down. Sunderland's still alive in the meantime. Raxes dropping lower and lower, but not quite fast enough. Range Rax is taken, but that's a minor objective for 4FC. Strang begin to dive that Rax. He won't get it in time. And Stanga, I think you can call that a success. I think they've held, and they've also taken a hell of a lot of kills in exchange. Buyback from the Lina, a small cost to pay for 4 kills.
Yeah, luckily for them, they do manage to keep their melee barracks, the more important barracks, unfortunately, compared to the range. So 4FC, they threw bodies to try and get both of these Raxes, but they only got one, which was already dangerously low anyway. And they might lose 2 towers at this point. There is the Vengeful Spirit and the Dazzle going forward. They're going to cut the creep wave as much as possible to try and take down this mid T1 tower. They need the tower gold to help them progress through their next items, because Lina, last fight, she died because of a Nether Ward. So she is going towards that BKB, which is going to be really good. She is going to be a very big threat against these heroes against 4FC. She does quite a bit of damage herself, so long as she can actually survive. BKB picked up on the Axe himself, so he is going to be able to be pretty much immune to a lot of the disables on the side of 4FC. So Lion, Clockwork, I don't know if Clockworks actually goes through BKB, I don't think so. No, my Battery Assault doesn't, and Power Cogs doesn't either. So BKB going to be a great item, well, basically a great item pickups for Stanga once they get them on all their core heroes. 4FC though, their window is closing, and it's closing very quickly.
And they don't really have any alternate options right now. Like, if they're not going to be pushing, then they're going to be losing. It's pretty much as simple as that. As powerful as Shadow Fiend is in the late game, it's hard to really just race up against a Medusa who's slowly but surely starting to catch up to the SF. In fact, she's only 200 gold behind the SF, so for all intents and purposes, these 2 heroes are working with equal amounts of net worth right now. Stanga, or 4FC rather, they have to go for these Raxes. They don't really have much of a choice. They just got to go for it. And I think it's possible for them to take a much better fight because they do have so much burst damage. They're going now with 4 total points in Necrobook. They have a fresh Scotty on the Shadow Fiend, and they're grouping up for mid lane with a random Mud Golem. Not exactly the creep that you want as Chen, but hell, no one likes Mud Golems, so maybe this will just mess with Stanga a little bit. Counter Helix does go through that, however. They're just going to go for it because they have no choice. We have Dazzle pushing up top lane as best he can. He does have a TP scroll. He will be able to rejoin this fight. But Medusa, I mean, she is pretty darn stacked right now. They can't afford to really focus her. They can't afford to ignore her. She is getting to a full-on Medusa state. She will be there very soon. It's up to Krilly to make good initiation. He's off to the right side right now, but does he have any clear shots? It doesn't really look like it.
Yeah, this is going to be a very slow siege from 4FC. They need to take this very slowly, very methodically. Just at least take this Rax in any way, shape or form with very minimal losses. They cannot afford to throw bodies anymore at these Raxes because they're going up against such a heavy late game draft. So we'll see how they want to go about it. We'll see how they want to go. Yule's onto Medusa though. Do they really want to jump onto one of the hardest heroes on the side of Stranga to actually kill? And they're actually going to try and jump onto the Axe. Nope, just throwing a couple of nukes here and there just to slowly whittle down through Stanga's draft. But they're just going to back up. They're going to wait for the creeps. They're going to reset. And there's going to be another slow push. But no damage is really being done to the melee racks unless they can throw some summons at it. And, well, unfortunately, Steph only has a creep. A stolen creep.
Oh, just a melee creep. That's
Yep.
That's a lot worse than the mud golem, man. You're really scraping the bottom barrel
Exactly.
there. And of course he runs into more mud golems because that's always how it is Chen. Yeah, they did throw their mud golem. Got to count the mud golem and their necro books, the level 3 ones, I believe. They held on. No, they actually used the level 1. They level 1 ones as well, but the damage done to the melee racks, negligible to say the least. Just LL at this point doing so much damage, is able to clean out all of it. Even though the last will from the necro units, yeah, it does hurt quite a bit. It's not going to dissuade Medusa from being on that front line, because if you put the Medusa on the front line, that means Sunderland is able to reposition himself accordingly and actually get good initiation off. He doesn't actually have to be that front liner. He could be a secondary initiator or a counter initiator, and that's all the better for Stanga. For FC, that push was entirely pointless. It didn't actually get anything done, and with their items, I don't really know if they're going to be getting anything that'll help them in the future. They need like Desolator, AC, and or more points in Necrobook, but that's not really coming up right now.
Yeah, the only other hero I can really see picking up a Necrobook would be the Chen, just because obviously he's stealing his own creeps anyway, that just having his own Necrobook, it just fits Chen in general. You never really see it on a Lion, but he is still building it anyway. Shadow Fiend, not a Necrobook hero, but definitely a Deso hero. So, like you mentioned, he can pick up the Deso, he can pick up the AC. He is one of the better heroes to pick it up. If you want another hero to pick up an AC, you could put on the Clockwork, I suppose. But a lot of the times, you really don't want him to be in the front lines unless you are trying to go for that team fight. Because if your Clockwork dies and he's the one holding the Assault Cuirass, that's going to be pretty much all the negative armor aura plus the additional attack speed aura gone for your team. Oh, actually in the bottom lane.
He's going to try to go for a couple of kills here. Shallow Grave, though, will keep the Venge safe. Pablo was forced to blow a BKB charge for this. Can he get a single kill? That was a 9-second charge. Very valuable there, but Joey is there with the Fuel Scepter, Laguna Blade, and the LSA. Pablo can take a hell of a lot of damage. Hand of God and Netherward going to push the rest of Stanga back. Hook shot in. Krilli's going to connect one onto 2. That'll kill off the Dazzle immediately. However, now there is LL arriving in this fight, and Krilli doesn't really have much way to go. Actually, no, he will force that himself down to the south. Sunderland trying to go for the Shadow Fiend in the meantime. It's just a single kill on a Dazzle. It's nice, I suppose, for 4FC, but it's not really convincing enough for them to go for a definitive push and take Raxus, because LL is still alive. And Shadow Fiend, because he just got into that engagement, is down one more BKB charge.
Yeah, and eventually when the BKB charges go down to 5 seconds, that means that there's going to be an even bigger opening for Stanga to really capitalize on blowing up the Shadow Fiend. Yes, he's sitting on 2.2k HP, but still lots of negative armor, lots of burst on Stanga. They really can deal with the Shadow Fiend now. He's not as big as he used to be. He's not that giant, big, bad, rolling ball of gold anymore. He's really coming down to earth, I suppose. So he's really falling in terms of effectiveness. So is the Clockwork. He can't really do anything else for his team anymore. It's just pure utility. Can't really burst anyone down unless they are just super low to begin with and he goes for a snipe. But a lot of the times when you play your Clockwork, you want them to be aggressive. You want them to start the fights. Unfortunately, not really there to be there for damage. That's where the Shadow Fiend as well as the Pugner really has to follow up for the damage output. Even the Lion Finger of Death too. Finger of Death, the range for it's pretty good, so you can really snipe someone with it if you want to. You just got to be mindful of the cooldown as well as the cost too.
Well, they have a lot of damage in order to kill off these like really single target heroes, but that's where the Dazzle comes in, that's where the swap comes in from Stanga. Both these support heroes have more or less been doing their job to make sure that their important heroes don't die, and I mean most of the time Medusa isn't even in any trouble of dying, so they could afford to waste the, or let's say use the swap, use the Shallow Grave on non-Medusa heroes. Not exactly what you want to do, but if you can do it, you might as well. They're going to jump right into the Roche Pit. Ingmunder does not have a medallion. Do they actually have a medallion? I don't think they do. Doesn't really matter anyway since they're not taking that much damage from Roshan. However, 4FC, they're coming in. Everyone in Stanga, they're being woven up. There's a perfectly placed Nether Ward right now, and it will do a lot of damage to Stanga if they're allowed to keep that one alive. Arisloko going to get a 3-man spike. Sunderland on the front lines is going to get warded away by a couple of Necrobooks. Still, the Roshan is dropping, and Aegis will be claimed by LL. Hookshot in by Krilly, though. He's going to get right on top of this Medusa, but Dusa is just firing away. She doesn't really care. She also has a BKB, which she's not even using right now. Spike onto 2. Miggy and Joey stuck in the back with these cogs, but LL is still just going to town. Joey gets the Laguna Blade kill onto 1. Now being drained from the high ground, though, Strangby is going to join this fight, although only slightly. LL finally does get a Stone Gaze out. Going to go straight for Step Style. Where's the Shadow Fiend in this fight? Well, first of all, Joey's going to get picked off by a dragon or by the Pugna, it seems like. Nether Ward, as promised, doing its damage, and LL, well, he didn't even get focused at all in that last fight. Shadow Fiend's in the base, trying to go for the final melee racks, or the melee racks in mid lane. Not really doing a fantastic job there. Stanga, they take an okay to mediocre to bad team fight, but their Medusa still lives, and they're once again tasked with this defense. This time, though, the Chen is packing some pretty big creeps, and it'll just take longer for Stanga to bring those down. But they actually have a chance now to kill off the Nether Ward, whereas previously in the last fight they didn't. They're going to buy back with their Lina out of necessity, and though it's ordinarily not what you want to do, in this type of scenario when you have definitive late game advantage, you buy back to hold Raxes at any cost necessary.
Yeah, they need to defend this Rax at any cost, though. But I guess even if Stanga might lose this middle set of Raxes, they're still okay because they have a Medusa that can clear out the mid wave of creeps. And they also have an axe as well. So their wave clear isn't too bad. You can count the Lina as well, I suppose, but she's going to be limited depending on the cooldown of her spells. She's not building into right-click damage at this point. She is just going for pure sustain as well as just capitalizing on the maximum effectiveness of her spells. We have picked up a butterfly on our Medusa now. She is going to be hitting even harder, even quicker, and she now has evasion to work with as well. And when you're looking at the Shadow Fiend, he hasn't gone for an MKB. He's going for a butterfly himself, so he's going to have his own attack speed as well as evasion to work with, but no sort of MKB to really deal with the Medusa himself. And when you compare the effectiveness of the butterfly on both of these heroes, I would say it's pretty much going to work in favor of the Medusa more than anybody.
Yeah, the Shadow Fiend getting the butterfly is going to be all well and good and everything, but man, they just don't have to worry about the Shadow Fiend as much as 4FC have to worry about the Medusa, because Medusa, yeah, she's going to be killing all your heroes, but even probably more crucially, she's going to be killing off your summons, and you can't really focus her down before she does that because of this butterfly now, so the summons aren't really going to be doing that much, and if they're not going to be doing that much, that's a hell of a lot of gold that you burned by purchasing these books, and then, well, Medusa just cuts right through it. Not good times for those summons, and it rarely is. So LL, he's approaching a 6-slotted status, has a Manta style that's yet to be completed. Yasha will upgrade it into that eventually, and then has one more item slot to fill once that Aegis times out. Then Medusa's just full on 6-slotted, and when you're talking about a 6-slotted Medusa game, it's hard to beat that, first of all, ever. Second of all, it's hard to beat that when the only real damage dealer you have is the Shadow Fiend, who is farming okay, and he's almost 6-slotted as well, but in a heads-up fight, Stone Gaze is going to make things really difficult for Shadow Fiend to come out ahead.
Yeah, it's... For us, they're going to have to really play out this team fight completely in their favor. They're going to have to try and burn the Medusa Aegis with nobody around, and they're going to have to try and get some of those core heroes in that team fight while losing very few of their own heroes. In particular, that Shadow Fiend is not allowed to die. If he dies, there's no more damage output on the side of 4FC aside from maybe the Pugna, but he hasn't even gone for anything like an Aghanims, and Pugna as a hero in general just doesn't right-click very well anyway, so if anything, you really want to maximize his magical burst, and he's gone for Necrobook himself. Actually, I heard a hook shot though. I think it's just under creeps. It was. I think they went for a D ward, or the wards just decided to expire the moment I went there, but this Aegis is still on this Medusa. It should be expiring soon. 2 minutes?
No, just
a
matter of minutes, let's say. And 4FC, they're definitely waiting that one out. That's pretty much a no-brainer. You can't afford to fight into one Medusa. You better not try to fight into 2 of them. That's just not going to work. We have a smoke up from 4FC. The kill potential here is huge. Unfortunately, the kill potential is going to be wasted because there's simply no one here, and it's going to be Pablo who's perhaps in more trouble. Now, he'll blink away from that one, but I don't know if this Medusa is going to get Aegis value. Krilly might get a hookshot opening right now, but the vision, it's only one observer ward for the Radiant. They'll see LL, and they'll see that he's very far away from the rest of his allies, but they're just hesitant about jumping onto a Medusa. even though Medusa is in so much trouble right now. Like, she's in a terrible position, but she'll go unpunished.
Yeah, the team's behind her anyway. The Vengeful Spirit would have been there for the swap if necessary. Level 2 swap as well, so the range is quite decent on that. So I like the positioning of the team though. They're sitting very far back. They're trying to use the Medusa as some sort of bait to try and initiate a fight, but 4FC, they're just not biting. They're biding their time. They're waiting for the Aegis to actually disappear. Is it actually gone now? I think it is. Yep. Yeah, Aegis has expired now, so if 4FC want to go for a fight, pretty much now or never. But I think in the mid lane, they're going to try and go into Krilly. Poor Clockwork, look at how much HP he's losing just because of Laguna Blade, as everything is thrown in that way, in that direction. Our Clockwork is completely decimated, and he's just turned into a little pile of bolts. And I think Stranga, all of a sudden, they're going to go for their own push in this mid lane. T2's still standing though, so there is a little obstacle for them if they want to try and go for that. But, well, this is the opening for Stranga if they really want to go for it.
It's not that much of an obstacle. Like, LL can probably do that by himself, although bottom lane is pushing in, and Stanga have to be wary of that. Their Medusa actually doesn't have a TP. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. Stanga's fine. Everything is going to be okay, guys. Sunderland is going to mostly clean that up by himself. Just more stuff being thrown into the blender. That is Axe and Lina to a certain extent. Tower taking 22 damage. That push was rather unsuccessful, but man, this game is stalling out, and as for FC, this is way past their prime. Like, they want this game to be done and over by now. They want to be, like, done with the draft of Game 2 with their draft right now, but clearly not going to be the case. We're in here for the long haul. As 4FC, if they don't actually get Raxes with maxed out Shadow Fiend, then at a certain point, this Lina is even going to start picking up the damage. She's gone for the BKB Aghanim Scepter, you know, pretty just standard baseline stuff there for Lina. But if she decides to grab a Mjolnir or a Desolator or a Daedalus or anything similar to those lines, then suddenly Joey is just another threat that 4FC are going to have to kill. And if she is doing that right-click damage, then she's going to be less reliant on her skills, or at least to do damage. Then she could more easily play around that Nether Ward.
Absolutely. The Nether Ward's just pretty much been the bane of Joey's life, especially during the early game where he would pretty much commit suicide throwing the Laguna Blade just because of that Nether Ward. So now he's not afraid of it anymore. I would like to see the Deso though. Deso would be great. It would help the Medusa because she's a right clicker. It will also help the Axe. And also it will help them when they're trying to push down those towers, because the negative aura on the towers, sorry, the negative armor reduction because of the Deso, it's going to speed up their tower pushing. And Stranga, they're kind of lacking it, I suppose. Medusa, the only one that's really going to be hitting hard at all. Axe, you don't really want him to have, you don't want to have him hitting that tower just randomly, because you would like him in the backlines just to go for the Berserker's Call if necessary to try and go for a team fight. But we have 4FC though. They are in the enemy jungle and they're trying to scout out somebody, Krilly. They think he sees the poor Vengeful Spirit. He does go for the hookshot. There's the cogs as well, so that's going to be a very dead Venge. Actually going to go for the Force Staff and the Grave out. BKB as well as the Call Thrown onto Krilly. And the backlines there, we have Double L. Is trying to go after all these heroes. There's going to be the ultimate coming out from Pablo. These Necro units, they're going to be coming through. And actually we had the Pugna trying to heal up the Shadow Fiends. So they want to try and go for round 2 here. Pablo showing his face, blink forward coming out from the line, bit greedy there, but he will not get punished by Stranga. Everyone's going to retreat. This is going to be a base defense coming out from Stranga. Medusa has no mana. She's going to pretty much lock and reload in the base, and while that's happening, the rest of his team going to have to try and stall while this push is going to start coming from 4FC. This is with Ancients now on this Chen. I don't know how long he's had this for actually, because last time we saw him he just had normal creeps and they just died so quickly.
Well, I think he's had this for a little while, but we could see how much it's actually mattering right now. They'll try to send the creeps to safety, and they will get them out of range. The bad thing here for 4FC is that one set of Raxes isn't really going to matter that much, like in the grand scheme of things. They need 2 at the very least if they're going to make this happen. So at the end of that fight, it's just a whole bunch of cooldowns being traded. They keep everyone alive. Force Staff from someone kept that Venge still alive, and the Grave, of course, guaranteeing her survival. The Medusa not really doing too much upfront damage versus the Shadow Fiend. This is where LL would really like to have something along the lines of Daedalus MKB, probably more MKB than Daedalus at this point, but needs to be punching a hole through that Shadow Fiend, because clearly 4FC with their plays, with their item choices, they're all about this like Battlecruiser Dota where they're just going to try to repair their Shadow Fiend as much as possible, keep him fighting, keep him up in the fight. And if Stanga have an MKB, then it's going to be a lot less likely that 4FC are going to get value out of this heal or life drain from the Pugna. Don't really see this too often being picked up or being used as a heal, but maybe it's going to be relevant if the Shadow Fiend has enough threat.
Maybe, but he's just not he's not scary yet. He just doesn't do enough damage to really justify being incredibly big as of yet. The Medusa's bigger than the Shadow Fiend essentially. She can hit the whole team, whereas the Shadow Fiend, the only spells that he can use to actually hit multiple targets is going to be the Requiem Absolves as well as the Shadow Razors. And if you think about it, 46 minutes into the game, Shadow Raze isn't really going to be doing anything unless you're going against those supports, where a lot of the times you need to shut down the Axe, you have to close up the Medusa, you need to just blow up the Lina. It's these three heroes that are keeping everything together, and then you have Miggy as well as I don't know what to call this guy. I just decided to nickname him Ing. But you have Miggy and Ing here, the two support buddies keeping the team alive. So if you can't even kill the cause, what do you do on 4FC? They're out healing it, they're graving it, they're swapping, they're doing everything necessary to keep the cause alive. But actually Joey down the bottom lane, there's a Finger of Death. They're going to throw the ultimate coming out from Double L though. Now, there's going to be some counter kills. Crilly, unfortunately, looks like he might get picked off. Actually, Sundren taking a little bit of damage himself. He pops the BKB himself, so that's going to be Crilly down the line. Now, Steffi Styles. He's trying to look for the Axe, but there's a TP out. So, 1 for 0 there, but Stang going to be happy that they picked up the Clockwork.
They'll send a whole bunch of fodder in this melee racks in the mid lane. Not do too much of anything, as LL with split shot is very easily able to clean that up. It's, again, just the supports of Stanga keeping their cores alive. Lina doesn't really have a great way of getting out of there by herself, aside from just a BKB and turnaround fight, which is, a reasonable way to go. Doesn't need to do that if she has a swap out and a grave out. She can just sit in the cogs, and then that way she's just that much closer to her prey. Stanga, they get a kill, not really the most valuable kill, and they'll be able to breathe a little easier knowing that the odds of 4FC initiating now, very, very slim, but can they actually do anything after this? They have Roshan available. This is a cheese Roshan at this stage. They don't really have an abundance of item slots, and they have top lane to worry about, so I don't think Roshan is going to be easy pickings yet for Stanga, but they have their eyes on it right now, and they're actually in a pretty decent position to take it, because 4FC haven't really pushed out all the lanes at the same time.
Yeah, so, oh my goodness, look how quickly this Roshan is being done, as well as HP is dropping incredibly quickly, so Cheese and Aegis going for Stanga, whereas 4FC, they don't have vision of it. They're going to see it now, but too little too late. The Granite Column. Will the Granite Golem try and go for a deny on the cheese? Even he's going to stand right on top of it. Will they go for it? Actually, there's a hook shot. Are they going to steal anything? There's going to be the cheese going in the way of actually who picks up the cheese. I don't even know, but never mind. It's pretty much a cluster flop at this stage, but one hero is down. Crilly is dead. There's going to be the Requiem Assaults coming up from our Shadow Fiend. So that's going to be the death of the Dazzle. LL, though, in the backline is turned into a frog there, but Sunderland taking a lot of damage. He's going to go down. 2 heroes down for Stanga. They're still alive, though, with double L, but he has no mana left. He still has the Aegis, though, so it doesn't really matter. There's going to be a bit of a... There's the Purge coming out from the Pug. That's not a Purge, that was actually the Decrepify, but they do pick off the Shadow Fiend, the main DPS of 4FC, and all they're left with is a Chen and, a Pug now.
That's not really gonna cut it. LL is just seemingly invulnerable in those previous fights. He was on the front line, a brick wall that 4FC just could not get through. Shadow Fiend tried his best. He was bypassing most of that, but it's just not good enough. Medusa still has the Aegis, has 7,000 frickin' gold to boot. I think the cheese was actually destroyed there by the Golem. Like, I did not see anyone pick it up. I was checking. No one has it right now. It's not there, so I'm going to chalk it up to cheese being destroyed. So well played by the Chen, but as cute as that is, it's not exactly going to be enough to swing the game back in favor of 4FC. Everyone and their mom has a buyback right now, and it's just going to be almost business as usual. However, this time, Stanga have an Aegis on this Medusa. They have a Sheepstick fresh on the Pugna that can very well help out, but man, they're struggling to kill off this Medusa a single time. And Medusa still has one more item slot to fill. Actually is working on a MKB, so she's going to very quickly fill that item slot up. They are just going to go right in for a push. 25 seconds where the Shadow Fiend is down means 25 seconds where Stanga don't really have to worry about anything. Actually, no, it's a Perseverance and a Demon Edge. I don't think that builds into anything, but who knows, I might have missed something. Hook shot into a callback. That's pretty cute. Didn't do anything, but Stanga, they've taken down one tower. I don't think they could take down a second really easily, because top lane is pushing in, and even though this Pugna has, quote-unquote, fallen off, he still can push towers when he's alone.
Yeah, he absolutely can. I have a feeling Medusa's going to get rid of the BKB and maybe go for, not a Refresher, but maybe a Lincoln Sphere? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you have a Hex to worry about. You have a Sheep Stick on Pugna to worry about. Even like Penitence on Chen. That's, you know, it's the late game power of Chen. It's the Penitence, and that's something that you wouldn't be too unhappy to block. Of course, she's gonna wait a little bit longer since BKB still has quite a few charges left until it's at minimum. But when you have unlimited gold, you might as well have unlimited items as well. Just like start buying up rapiers just in case or something.
I actually think she might actually go for the courier slot, tactic. Go for the refresher orb on the courier. Just bring that courier around with your refresher orb, so you have the double ultimate to work with. I suppose I want to call it the VG, but there's a lot of teams that actually do this, so it's just going to be the extra courier slot thingy where your carry is just suddenly walking around with essentially 10 items, but physically they can only carry 6. So we'll have to see. It's still Perseverance. It's the tiny little item. It's very hard to say what it is, but it could be a Lincoln Sphere just as well too.
Yeah, Refresher Orb is the item that you want on that courier if ever you're going to be running it. Unfortunately, Dusa with that item is not exactly the best. Like, Double Stone Gaze is potentially really good, but it only is really good if you land the first Stone Gaze and actually turn someone to stone, because then you could keep them in stone form and then you just feel like a champion. But if that doesn't work out, then yeah, 4FC will just turn around and run away, and then, well, you're stuck awkwardly sitting there while you have a Refresher Orb in your inventory. Got a smoke up from Stanga. They're not really going to catch anyone unless Lion. Oh, don't go in there, Eris Loco. That's a bad idea. Uh-oh. Bad times for the Lion. Will blink out, dodge a call as well. He knew that something was up, and he's going to keep himself safe, but up towards top lane, we have a little bit of a brawl. Joey is going to get his damage drained out. Requiem's going to be dodged by a Eul Scepter. However, Lina now going to have to fight up against a double damage Shadow Fiend dealt with in a manner of a couple right clicks. Joey is going to die. Krillian bottom lane is going to fight with LL. Not going to be much of an issue there, but Lina down. It's not a huge opening for 4FC, but it's an opening, and that's something that they've been lacking for the greater portion of this game.
Yeah, there is actually a buyback available on the Lina though, so 4FC probably not wanting to get ahead of themselves here. I think they're desperate though. They're just playing so desperately. They're trying to find whatever they can to just stay in this game, to get big on Pablo. The only hero that they can really get big on though, I guess Pugna could get big too, but he's gone for utility. He's not gone for damage, he's not gone for ags, he's not gone for anything of great importance. And actually they're going to try and go for a kill onto double L. Aegis is still available and there is a Wave of Terror. They scout them out, they see where they are. And Stranga, they're just going to sit in their own base. They say, we don't have to fight low ground. We can just stay in our high ground and fight you up here. It's much easier for us. It's much more difficult for you. If you don't execute properly, then you're potentially going to lose all the heroes that you have pushed high ground. Even with the Chen creeps, they just clear them up so quickly that the Chen creeps are just irrelevant at this point. It's just feeding gold to the Medusa.
Well, the aura is, yeah, it's probably one of the more relevant things that the Chen has at this point. The Granite Golem, I don't even know what it's called. Granite Aura, that's really original Ice Frog, but you know, that's going to be just something that they want to keep these Chen creeps around for. Clearing out creep waves with splash damage with Dragon is nice as well, but LL doesn't really care about this. Gonna get hookshot, gonna get hexed, but he's still fine to just sit here and clear out everything. Like, Necro units doing a little bit of damage to the tower. In the meantime, bottom lane, actually, it's Pablo to do quite a bit of damage to a tower of his own. Does pop BKB. Requiem doing quite a bit of damage to Miggy. These three heroes can't really do that much against Shadow Fiend. Looks like split push suddenly in full effect from 4FC, almost seemingly out of nowhere. LL is charged with defending the top lane, whereas the rest of the heroes have to deal with the Shadow Fiend. Hard task for these bottom lane heroes, but LL is able to clean that one out pretty swiftly. Now he's going to clean out mid lane, and end result, minor damage on these tier 2 towers. However, there's a hook shot that will whiff Pablo in quite a bit of trouble. Laguna Blade to the dome. However, that's not really going to do too much in the grand scheme of things, because top lane is still pushing, and Stanga, they're not in a position to defend just yet. Oh no, LL is, I'm sorry. He's going to go straight for Steph style, doing what he can, but Hand of God's going to keep everyone alive, or at least for the most part. It's going to be Krilly in the base of Stanga. He's all alone, getting hit with a pretty big Shadow Wave nuke. Krilly is going to be, so far, the only one to die, and maybe in total the only one to die. Just a massive mess in the base of Stanga, but they don't really lose anything except for minor HP points on these outer tier 3 towers, which at this point, it's not that relevant. They could afford to lose these tier 3 towers. It won't really change the pace of the game that much. But 4FC, if they keep doing that, slowly but surely, maybe they can actually take Raxes, but yeah, they're going to try to avoid the team fight as best as possible. They know that they just can't win against this Medusa in a team fight scenario.
Oh man, I don't know what 4FC can do. Unless they just somehow miraculously get 2 to 3 kills, or maybe just pick off the Medusa. Medusa is pretty much the biggest threat on the side of Stanga. Aside from that, Shadow Fiend can deal with that Lina. Oh my goodness, I don't know. They just can't kill the Medusa. She's never alone, and she does go for the Refresher Orb. It's sitting in her stash, so we have the double Stone Gaze coming up on the Courier. Oh, Pablo. Oh no. Oh no, the last thing 4FC could have wanted, and they lose their main hard carry, the Shadow Fiend, sticking around a little bit too long in enemy territory, and he gets punished.
Well, he does have a buyback, and this is going to be Stanga's chance to force that out. The odds of them getting tier 3s or Raxes, that's pretty darn low, since Shadow Fiend could just buy out immediately and still have enough gold for, well, items if he was going to get items, but it doesn't seem like that's really part of his build right now. Doesn't need anything else. He can buy back, and he's probably going to have to, but Stanga, they have a chance to shove out all the waves, while at the same time Medusa, she still has her travels available, and looks like no one on 4FC is going to be tasked with canceling that. Down towards bottom lane, it's going to be Sunderland, who got caught in the cogs. He's very quickly going to take a fall, just a couple right clicks needed. Axe is going to die, and clearly with that Aghanim Scepter, looking for someone else. However, everyone is too far away, way too far. In fact, it's a death for a death. Is that going to change the state of the game? Odds are no. Roshan is very close to spawning, however, and 4FC with a fresh Aegis Cheese, that's going to be probably their best opening, an opening that they haven't had in quite a long time to actually go for a second set of Raxes.
Yeah, I actually don't know if they saw the Roshan spawn. I think they may have just clipped a vision of him during the last seconds of the... Yeah, so they do notice that the Rocket Flare did scatter out. The duration did last long enough, so... This is something that's going to go in the way of 4FC. Having this Cheese and Aegis, that means they'll have the second life on Pablo, so even though he might die the first time, he can play a little bit more recklessly and hopefully just do the damage that he needs to kill off some of those really potent heroes on the side of Stanga. I suppose even the supports are worth killing, just because you have the Shallow Grave from your Dazzle, you have the negative armor as well. So there's the Aegis. Cheese, not been taken. Cheese! Please take the cheese. Thank you, take the cheese. Now the fight is actually going to happen. They have already popped the Necrobook units, and there's a BKB pop by our Medusa. Lion's already dead. Shadow Fiend is actually turned into stone already, so he's an effigy. He's going to throw out the Requiem Assault, but actually that's going to be cancelled out, so never mind. That's the Aegis already expelled on the side of 4FC. They've only gotten rid of the Dazzle so far. Team is nearby, though. They can send him home with the Chen if they really want to, and actually everyone on the side of Stanga, they're going to retreat. They don't want to fight into this, but 4FC, they want to be on the aggressive. Is the cheese with the Pugna still? Yes, it is. So they're probably going to give it to Pablo. So he has the supposedly second life with his cheesecake.
Well, they've killed off the Dazzle, and he does not have a buyback right now. He's a little bit away from it. They also don't have the Stone Gaze to worry about. So Medusa, it's the responsible decision. It's the correct decision from Stanga to back out of that scenario. They take out the Aegis, yet they don't want to be fighting in any sort of position where they're at any sort of disadvantage at all. In the base, they have all the advantages, none of the disadvantages, and that's the proper play to make. But now we're back to square one. 4FC, they still have the cheese, and that's like the end result after all that, because the Dazzle's going to be up again. But yeah, massive brawl, get a cheese. It's almost going to be like cheese is going to be worth less and less because these teams just don't have the item slots to actually hold the cheese. But for right now, Stanga, they don't lose anything off of that. They take an okay fight, and they're just going to go for a push. They know that the Shadow Fiend previously did use a buyback, and it's going to be down for another 4 minutes. If Stanga kill off the Shadow Fiend one more time, it's all over for 4FC.
Yeah, that's all of 4FC's damage in that Shadow Fiend, so they cannot afford to actually lose him. He's got for a Hyperstone, so it's either going to be, I don't know the pronunciation, but an MJ, or he's going to go for an Assault Cuirass as his next pickup. I think it's an Assault Cuirass. What's in the Courier? It is an Assault Cuirass.
Yeah. Yeah, Mjolnir at this point is just not going to cut it. It's going to help you clean out creep waves, that's nice and everything, but it's not really what you want to be doing. A Shadow Fiend, when a double raise will just do that just as easily. AC up on the Shadow Fiend right now, but he kind of has his base to worry about. LL and Joey just going to town on that tier 3. Eris Loco looking for a couple stuns perhaps. Shadow Fiend looking to backdoor / race Stanga at this point, but it's going to be difficult. Has the rest of his team providing him cover. Now he's going to go straight for this tier 3. Does have fortification available, and it's actually LL who got canceled out of his TP. No, he still has it actually. They don't have any way of interrupting, and LL will get back to safety. They will hold on to everything. End result, one tier 3 tower down in favor of Stanga. And that's about it. I guess if they keep doing that, slow and steady might win the race, but yeah, you can only get so slow, and man, this game is definitely going in for the long haul. I'm actually surprised we don't see more items on these non-core heroes, like even the Lina. She has 5,000 gold. She should be going for some right-click damage so that they don't have to, you know, revolve their whole lineup around this Medusa.
Yeah, I think she actually has quite a bit of gold, so she can buy something if she really wants to. She's got boots to travel, so TPing is no issue here for Joey anymore. I think he's going to buy something. He's going to the secret shop. What's it going to be? He didn't buy anything.
That's
oh no,
Scotty, probably.
it's got the ultimate orb.
Yeah, it's... I mean, if you're this late in the game and you're buying ultimate orbs, it's probably Scotty. I mean, it's a good item on literally any hero, so can't really go wrong, and super expensive item. You might as well go for it in a 60-minute game, so... Yeah, seems like it's just going to be more and more farmed. Let's take a look at see if there's any other items than anyone else. Krilly has 4,000 gold of his own. Maybe something tanky for him. Pugna, not anything new since that Sheepstick. Lion doesn't even have a level 3 book upgrade yet. He's had that level 2 book forever. And Chen actually has a Sheepstick. That's relevant. I mean, more sheeps equals more better. And no one on Stanga has anything to build in Sheepstick. Although, no, Lena probably going to go for hers. Never mind. Maybe Scotty, maybe Sheepstick, I don't know. Definitely saving for buyback right now, but Stanga, they are smoked up. If they find someone, this could be a pretty sizable opening. Maybe not to push the base, but to force buybacks.
There's actually a smoke coming out from Stanga. They have exposed the Medusa though, so everyone else behind her is smoked up. Now the courier's even running away as well because they knew something's wrong. A poor Shagbark is actually nicknamed something else. I don't know what the pronunciation is for that, but Stanga, they're running rampant in 4FC's jungle, and 4FC can do nothing about it. They're all pretty much spread out on the map. They've got the Pugna up top. They've got 3 to the right of the map, and they've got 1 that's hiding in the base, and that's Krilly, their Clockwork, their main initiator. And actually, Pablo, bit of a risky play here. They're going to try and use the Chen creeps as well as Pablo to try and push out this bottom tower, but Lena and Sunderland are here. So, got to be very careful. There's a blink forward by Joey. Now, there is going to be the Berserker's Call follow-up. Actually, BKB has been popped, but never mind. Doesn't really matter because the Berserker's Call goes right through it. So, Pablo going to have to throw the ultimate here, but he's by himself. He's dead. And that's no buyback on the Shadow Fiend as well, but he gets 2 heroes. He gets the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Axe, but, well, they still have the Lena and the Medusa, so it's not too bad there for Stanga. 4FC, they've essentially got no damage now that the Shadow Fiend is dead.
Yeah, so the Shadow Fiend definitely putting up a sizable fight before he goes down. Problem is that he doesn't have buyback for another 30 seconds. If Stanga were to mobilize and actually go for a push, it would be very unlikely that 4FC would be able to defend without having bought back with the Shadow Fiend. But it seems like that's not in Stanga's game plan. They're just going to wait until this game gets to triple-digit minutes, and then they're going to still wait. But up towards top, Joey might be in a little bit of trouble. Krilly's going to get in there with the hook shot, pushing him back into the life drain. BKB is available for Joey. Suddenly not losing any HP any longer. Has turnaround potential right now. He's going to get a little bit closer to LL. Got to pay attention to this nether ward as well. And it's going to be no one dead. This game is getting to be so exciting, guys. This is great.
I can hear the excitement in your voice.
I know. It's amazing. Most exciting 63 minutes ever with 50 kills. I mean, it's not bad. It's just very slowly slowing down. And there's no huge items that'll help these teams break through unless they want to go into the Doctor. But I don't think either of these teams are truly desperate enough to buy the Rapier yet.
I don't know. I think LL could definitely go for it now if he really wants to. He's only died once this game. I don't know why he's actually afraid of buying a Divine Rapier at this point. I think he can get away with it if he really wants to.
Just buy it and just have it in the base just in case or something like that.
Just have the Divine Courier nearby.
Panic rapiers. In case of emergency, break glass, buy Rapier.
Yeah, just keep it in the base just in case.
Or just, you know, have everyone just... Well, first of all, they need, like, other 6-slotted items on everyone else. It's actually a Lincoln Sphere from Joey. It's still, like, not bad. There's Sheepsticks galore on the 4FC side, but, man, Stanga, they're getting items very slowly. 4FC, they are as well. Like, every single creep right now that Shadow Fiend or Medusa kills is actually, like, bad for their team, because they're already 6-slotted. They can't use this gold anymore. Like, Medusa has 15,000 gold. She could start a trust fund, and then in the next game, the Medusa can 6-slot instantly.
It's just 6-slot from the beginning of the game with her money from the previous game. That's definitely legal, but... oh my goodness. But what items can we actually see on some of these other heroes? The Dazzle? This Dazzle is still sitting on what? Items that he could have had, that he's had for what, the next past 30 minutes? Poor Mickey. He's literally on a budget fund.
Tower is under attack.
Oh, top lane.
Actually?
The backdooring creeps. They never expect the backdooring creeps. They almost bring the tower down, but not quite. That was, well, I guess if you keep doing that, eventually you'll get something. Maybe.
Slowest push ever. We might see a 3-hour game out of this. We might see a record to break the Cloud9 versus... I don't know who they actually played against. I just remember it was a
Scary
Cloud9
faces,
game.
right? I haven't seen it because it's not exactly a huge selling point. It's like, watch this game. It lasted for 3 hours. Like, why would I want to watch that? Show me the
Just
highlight
watch it.
reel. I'll watch the highlight reel. Fine.
Just watch it at 4 times fast forward speed.
Yeah, I don't want to waste that much time either. Okay, well, either way, items at this point that are good, that will always be good, or maybe that even get better at 60 minutes when BKBs start to wear down. Gotta look towards the aura items. Got Shiva's Guard on Stanga. I don't believe there's a Shiva's on 4FC. No, there isn't. Shiva's Guard, amazing. AC, really good. Vlad's? Is there a Vlad's? Vlad's check.
No Vlads.
No Vlads,
Nobody.
so that's also an item to consider. Then Sheepstick and... what's it called? Heaven's Halberd are also going to play some premium. Sunderland, what are you doing there? He has a double life, so he's okay kind of with making the suicidal play, but suicide he will. Joey is going to close in. Laguna Blade not even going to be enough to kill off Eris Loco at this stage. Dragon Slave threw across the trees, though. That's going to get 1 kill. Now they're going to go for Step Style, pulling him out of that TP. Looks like Step Style doesn't really have many places to go. He'll get swapped out, though. Not a great swap from that Vengeful Spirit. I don't really know what that was about. Step Style almost going to kill off Miggy. Not quite, though. We have Travels coming in. It's going to be Pablo. He committed pretty deep to get this Miggy kill, and he looks like he might get it, but LL's also going to travel in. Pablo now all alone. He's going to lose his life, has a buyback, and I think he's going to have to use it. In the meantime, there's no split pushing going on from 4FC. That was such a bold TP in from the Shadow Fiend. He had no backup there. He was teleporting into 4 or 5 heroes, and that is a great way to die.
Well, I think this is going to be the push attempt now for Fiskestanga, and this is probably going to force the buybacks out of 2 heroes. Chen, unfortunately, the only hero on the side of 4FC with no buyback. So he's going to be down for the next 40 minutes, but look what his creeps are doing. They are bringing that back, the creep wave. They're doing a little bit of shenanigans at the moment. They really just used the slam on the creeps. They really did.
Oh yes, the Lizard does in fact have that ability. Joey up towards top, tasked with defending his tier 3. He's going to get some help from Miggy. Krilly going to force staff from under that LSA, gets Laguna to the dome, but that's the minor story here. The major story is that the Radiant base is kind of being destroyed right now. LL is going to go straight for mid. Sunderland can help out LL there, so mid lane is going to be even. Rax for Rax, eye for eye, all that jazz, and that's it. Rax is taken buyback from the line. Step 1 from Stanga. They're probably going to keep on pushing it in just so that they could try to force out another. They're going to test to see if they can get a buyback or if Shadow Fiend even has one. Obviously he does because everyone and their mom has buyback in this game. But if they could draw the buyback out, that's a pretty big lead. If they don't, most likely this tower is just going to die. LL still has the BKB, is having to slog through a lot of disables or pseudo-disables. So we can't actually hit on this tower, but Krilly's going to jump in. Hex onto LL. He's in quite a bit of trouble, but he has lots of backup. Suddenly getting right into Strangby's face. He's going to pull him off LL, now taking absolutely no damage. Can't pop the BKB. Stone Gaze up as well, though he doesn't have that much mana. He's going to start delivering some damage. Shadow Fiend going to get right back into this game, however, it's going to be Strangby to take the focus. Stang going to get sheeped up one more time. Back in is Krilly with a hook shot. Will kill off the Lina. Sunderland and LL not too healthy right now. They're going to chase forward for more. Shadow Fiend will kill off the Axe. Now they're looking for Ingmunder. He will try TP out. He won't get out, though. The Dazzle up on top lane having no part in that fight, and suddenly it's Stanga who have to be on the defense once again. Is it time for 4FC to force some buybacks? Seems like it might be.
Yeah, oh my goodness, they're just going to pretty much trade buybacks at this point just to see who runs out of money, I guess. That's what it feels like. They're just trying to make each other bankrupt, and then hopefully from there on they can win the game. Oh my goodness, just pay. It's like Monopoly. Just pay to leave to get out of jail, and you're fine.
So what you're saying is that Stanga need to buy some hotels.
Yeah, they need to buy
Everyone
hotels.
needs hotels.
Exactly. Think about it, because they haven't got hotels in their Dazzle or their Vengeful Spirit yet. Look how poor they are. They don't even have any property. They're sitting on budget items.
You know, if they were playing by the official rules, I'm sure they would be out of the game by now, but they're playing by house rules, and that's why they're like getting $500 for landing on free parking, which is wrong. It's not how you're supposed to play, guys. Play it right. Up towards top tower was backdoored by the Stanga side. LL now tasked to defend it. I don't know why Miggy's trying to pick a fight with Pablo. He's not going to die because of the Grave just yet. Has backup coming in, but it's only the Axe. Actually, no, Medusa's going to teleport in as well from behind. Sunderland actually going to leave Miggy alone. Suddenly Miggy's dead because top lane, he has to try to protect that. Range Rax is dropping. Bottom lane, Pablo also dropping those Raxes very quickly as well. Suddenly going to do what he can to try to protect that top lane, whereas LL going to try to kill Pablo. Looks like he will stone gaze the Shadow Fiend out of his BKB and teleport away. Shadow Fiend, of course, does still have buyback. We have Range Raxes down, Tier 3 tower down, but Shadow Fiend also down. So Stanga, they're going to crack back and try to get something in this game.
I just saw the multitude of Dagons purchased up by Pugna. He's got level 3 Dagon now, so he has a little bit of burst potential. Divine Rapier.
Doctor.
The bomb has been dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to see a Divine Rapier this game, please. Oh, please, sick. Okay. So quick pause coming out.
Random pauses, I think 70 minutes in the game, it's justifiable that you have bathroom breaks or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Medusa can buy another Divine Rapier. Wait, did she actually sell her Manta Style? I don't think you actually sell items at this point. You have so much gold, you just keep them around.
Yeah, and maybe she just actually, is it in the secret shop? No, she sold it. It's gone. Unless it's on the courier. Nope, it's gone.
Well, if you are going to sell something for your Divine Rapier, it's got to be that Manta Style. As nice as it is to have that Manta, Divine Rapier does not help your illusions at all. So it's kind of a redundancy there. But Medusa's going in. Everyone in Stanga are going to go in. How many more Divine Rapiers can we buy? Probably like there can be 2 more in this game. I hope that it gets to that point because that would be awesome. But Shadow Fiend probably is going to have to buy back here, right? And if they kill him off again, I think that's just game over.
Yeah, because he won't have buyback afterwards. He's got 1 buyback, obviously, then 7-minute cooldown. Unless Stanko just decide to, I don't know, just AFK farm again for another 7 minutes to have that buyback available in the Shadow Fiend again. But I think this is going to be it because they realize that 4FC, they're going to play Desperation Dota. They threw everything at the top set of Raxes, and they even had the Shadow Fiend commit everything he had to go into the bottom set. He tried to go for a TP, he got stone gazed, so unfortunately he got picked off, dead for 71 seconds. So I think Stranga, they're going to say, we're going to finish up the game now. We do not want to handle your shenanigans anymore. Too shenanigan-y for us.
Alright, so
Refresh
here we go.
roll, though.
This might be the last push of the game, or it might be... Oh, wait. Oh, wait. We have double. There's a double, so why keep your Manta Style when you could replace your Rapier with a Rapier? Sounds much better to me. They're going to go in. Are they going to go straight for the tier 4s? That's going to be a great way to force the buyback out from the Shadow Fiend. If you don't buy back then, when do you buy back, right? They're going to kill off the random buildings because those are necessary to destroy, of course. LL going to start by getting drained out, pushed back by the cogs. That mana burn, it's actually probably one of the more useful things that the Clockwork can do right now because all of a sudden Medusa is at less than half of her mana. And she doesn't really have a great way of rejuvenating that. In fact, the creep's even doing quite a number on LL's pool. She'll get netted to the floor. Still firing, though. Chen's creep's walking in to die and then walking out. But they're going to go in. Hook shot onto LL. Once again, Cogs push back, but they get the hook onto Pablo. The call is there. Pablo rejuvenating quite a bit of HP from the Chen, but it's not going to be enough. He's down for 110 seconds. Stanga still with their Medusa alive. They're going to fall back with Joey and Dusa both dropping pretty low. LL going to get a finger, but the Grave coming in just in time. He still has the Divine Rapier. He still can turn around to keep on firing, but he's going to lose it. Who's actually going to grab it? It's going to be Eris Loco. He's going to drop it as well. It's right in the middle of the tier 4 towers. Dusa is going to buy back. Has a fresh Divine Rapier, and it's going to continue this push. Who actually has the Divine Rapier now that was dropped originally?
Chen.
It's the Chen. He's turning into a DPS beast, of course. LL, though, he still is firing for a hell of a lot of damage. He's going to go straight for the secondary tier 4. No Shadow Fiend for another 75 seconds. LL with the BKB up is going to use the Stone Gaze, turn Strang B to Stone. If they can kill off the Pugna, that will be pretty big. Magic Missile is there. However, the Vengeful Spirit dies at the exact same time. Joey also dropping very low. Life Drain going to keep Strang B alive. LL is also getting a cheap sub. He's dropping very low. He's going to lose his secondary Rapier. Steph style DPS Chen saving the day. And now Stanga have no heroes alive. They have a Vengeful Spirit who's going to be facing down 3 heroes with 2 Divine Rapiers. And bottom lane is pushing in, and top lane is pushing in the meantime. I don't know when this happened, but Stanga, they went for the all-in, they went for the Hail Mary, and now they might actually lose this game. Finally, 4FC, here comes the DPS Chen, here comes Strangby, looking to zap down Ingmunder, Dagon Blast, Life Drain. GG is called Stanga. They just lost this game.
Wow, what a turnaround. I didn't even think 4FC was going to survive. That was with everyone except the Shadow Fiend. My goodness, what a way to end the game as well.
Dude, why do you need a Shadow
my
Fiend when you have a
God.
Chen with a Divine Rapier?
A Divine Chin and a Divine Clockwork.
It's all you need. Just, if you get that
Oh my
much gold for
goodness.
free from the Medusa onto 2 heroes who actually had item slots to spare, maybe if the Medusa... I mean, that was obviously an all-in play from Stanga. They were fed up. Probably anyone would have made that play. Try to go in while the Shadow Fiend is down and try to actually win, but they make a gamble and it just doesn't pay off. For FC, with the quote-unquote pushing lineup, they actually come away with the victory. And of course, this is, guys, only a best of 1. Oh man, please, no more 2 games of 1 hour, 13-minute games. But we'll be right back, guys, for game 2 in just a little bit. So don't go anywhere. I'm Mikelorus, been joined by Danelie for this game. It's all in the title and stuff like that. I'll be right back in game 2.